What's the point of writing a book or a story or anything when people can just look it up on AI? I have 3 answers for you within that. And one is that humans aren't wired to learn just by receiving information. We're wired to learn by stories. And I'm not just talking about fantasy books with characters and dragons that learn to stand up for themselves, that learn to stand up for bullies in a fantasy setting. No, I'm also talking about stories like How to Win Friends and Influence People. It is a textbook. It gives you a way to live. But Dale Carnegie starts it with his story, and we become interested in that. He had a problem. He learned how to fix it. And it's not just deliverance of information, it is story. Erica Kramer also does it magnificently in her book, Becoming Magnetic, which is a fantastic book that any woman in the modern age should read. But she starts off with her story. That's what we resonate with. And further to that, it's not just famous people. Every person has a story of what they're doing every day. When you catch up with a friend, you want to know, what have you done? What have you been up to? Oh, you have a problem. How did you get around that? That is still story. Now, let's get back to AI. Let's go back to that idea that anybody can look anything up with AI. And the reason why you should write a book, why anybody should write a book, is that when you look at the law around copyright, an idea is not copyrighted. It is the expression of that idea that is copyrighted. That goes for music, that goes for novels, both in fact and fiction, which leads me to my next point, that the idea is never going to be unique. Everybody's already come up with everything, and yeah, anybody can look for it on AI. But you, and this may come as a shock to anybody, are entirely unique. Nobody else has lived every day in the same way that you have. Nobody else has encountered exactly the same problems, and nobody else has come up with exactly the same solutions. In that, you are unique. And in telling those stories, that is your expression of ideas and problems. And the reason why it's important for you to share that is, although your expression and the way that you have dealt with things are unique, your problems aren't. Most humans struggle with the same things, especially if they were brought up in the same era. For example, if you were born in the 90s, you had this constant rhetoric that being fat or even curvy made you a bad person. I mean, who else remembers how Britney Spears and Jessica Simpson were vilified in the magazines? So the way that you may have stepped into getting comfortable with your body is different, but your problem is going to resonate with anybody in that generation. And that is why it doesn't matter how all-knowing AI is or how good anybody can be at their prompts to get information from it. It's never going to have that, I went through this problem, and here's the story of how I succeeded through it. And that is your story.